What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fulfillment Podcast, where we discover better you, finding fulfillment in life, relationships, and in finance. In this episode, I want to talk to you guys about the power of persistency, and holy shit, how incredible it is. There's so many things that happen in our world that try and discourage us from doing our best and becoming the best version of ourselves and pursuing all those wonderful things that we're capable of. And I want to talk to you guys about it and just get it in your head that it's not over until it's over. Like, keep going, keep pushing on, and keep pursuing it, and you guys are going to fucking break that rock, and you guys are going to go forward. I'm going to talk about a few different things in here, but let's just get into the episode because we don't have to do this intro forever. All right, so talking about the power of persistency and how fucking powerful it is. There's a guy named Jason Capital. I talk about him all the time. Jason, if you're listening to this, thank God you fucking found my show. I love it. But regardless, Jason Capital talks about this all the time, and he's huge on this stuff because he 100% gets it just the same. But he talks about how you've got to keep going. He actually has a tagline, and that's one of the power of marketing and understanding, like what you're doing. But you can create a tagline, and his is keep fucking going. He spells the U with a V instead, but his thing is keep fucking going. And you can't be more right. There's a story, and I tell it all the time, but it's about the rock cutter, the stone cutter, right? You strike the rock, you strike the rock, you strike the rock. You hit the rock 100 times and nothing happens. But that 101st hit you do, all of a sudden the whole rock opens up, and you got all these beautiful like gems and jewels and stuff inside of this stone. Well, the story of that is you could be making progress and not even see anything happening. You could be hitting it, the 51st, the 52nd, the 53rd, 54th time, right? And it keeps going and nothing changes, right? All you're doing is you're bleeding your hands out. You're going through muscle tear. You're getting tired. You're getting worn out. All this stuff is happening to you. And you got to keep going, right? Because despite it, all you're trying to do is there's a certain mark, there's a certain point, there's a certain amount of time, there's a certain number of things you have to do before all of a sudden everything splits open and you just crush it. Everything's over and you've done everything you need to do and you finally hit your goal, right? And the power of that, the power of understanding that when you're going and you're going and you're going and you're going, you're eventually going to break it. You just got to keep trying because all you're doing is you're learning on ways that you're not supposed to do it, right? You're learning all the different paths that you're trying are the paths you're not supposed to be on, right? Imagine a wall, right? The wall's got, we'll say, 50 doors in front of it. The only one of them is the one that you're supposed to go through. But you're never going to figure out which door you're going to go through unless you start opening the damn doors, right? And so until you start breaking them down and going through the doors, you're not going to find out what door you got to go through. You could sit there and you could stare at all these doors all day, and you're never going to know where you're going to go. You're never going to know which one's the right one to go to, and that's what people do in their entire lives is they sit back and they think. They constantly analyze, and they try and tell. They all look the same, but they're trying to figure out which one it is that I got to go through. And that's the difference between what makes somebody 1%er and what keeps you in the 99%. Is the 1% going to be the people that are like, fuck it, I'm just going to start opening doors. I'm just going to start trying, and I'm going to figure this out. And eventually one of these is going to open, and it's going to be amazing what's on the other side. But until I do that, I'm never going to figure it out. And people sit there and they constantly analyze, and they don't take the leap because it's too much risk, right? The path to get to the doors in order to start trying the doors is difficult, right? They don't want to see the failures of choosing the wrong door. They want to see the setbacks that they're going to have to take when they walk all the way back to the starting position to see all the doors to analyze them over again, right? All the difficulty that goes into that, the mental struggles, right? The fortitude you got to have to be able to push through and continue to keep moving forward, to keep fucking going is incredible, and it's so hard. But if you continue to do it and you keep pushing and you keep going, eventually you're going to open one of those doors. And that's the story of the stone cutter, is he keeps doing something every single time and it looks like no progress has been made. But eventually something happens. And the trick is can you continue to keep going long enough and persistent enough so where you're learning all these lessons and eventually something's going to happen and it's going to break off. I think there was something I saw where, of course everybody knows J.K. Rowling, right, was denied by 12 publicists before Harry Potter was finally published, right? We know about Thomas Edison discovered 99 ways to not make a light bulb, and then the 1,000th one was the perfect one, right? And that was the way that broke everything. The inventor of Dyson vacuums, right? He was declined for like 4 years and had like 192 designs turned down before he finally hit the one that struck it big and made a $54 billion vacuum business, right? So there's so many things to understand about like continuing to go and to keep fucking going. It's so hard to continue to have that persistence and understanding when you're being discouraged at every single step of the way. But you've got to keep pushing yourself. You've got to keep moving forward. You've got to keep driving on and going, because at some point something's going to give and something's going to break and you're going to hit it and you're going to take all these lessons that you've learned and eventually everything's going to come together to where all of a sudden you've hit the perfect sweet spot. You know exactly what the perfect formula is. You've done all the right things and you've learned all the wrong lessons, so now you know only thing that's left is the right stuff. You've opened all of those doors and now all that's left is one door that you know is going to take you to where you got to go. All of a sudden all that stuff opens and you hit that door and you go through the other side and it's perfect, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful, and it's everything that you've thought it would be. That doesn't mean the journey on the other side is going to be easy, but you finally found the break that you needed, right? Life is nothing but those sequences of doors popping up in front of you and you having the persistence of going, especially entrepreneurship, right? When you're trying to do something that you've never done before. This could be starting a business, starting a gym, starting a diet line, starting whatever it is that you're doing, right? You're doing all these things. You've never done it before. You don't know what you're going on. You don't know what's the right answer, but you're learning as you go. And as long as you're taking action and you're continuing to drive, you're learning these lessons and you're learning these processes and you're getting yourself from the point A that you were at to that point B where you're trying to go. And you're learning that lesson, right? You're taking that path through the maze of all these different wrong turns, but eventually you're finding the right turn. You're taking another wrong turn, but eventually you're finding the right one. And by God, after a while, you're going to figure it out. As long as you continue to go and you keep fucking going, you're going to figure out what the right path is. And you're going to figure out what that right answer is. And you're going to be going through and you're going to figure out, you're going to be like, holy shit, my business is taking off now. I just kept pursuing it and kept being persistent, and eventually it took off. I hit everything I was supposed to do. Just got to keep going. You've got to keep in your mindset. You've got to keep in your head that everything's going to be okay. I almost gave up to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm not finding a mentor anymore, right? And I'm like, I need a mentor. For the longest time, I was like, I need a mentor. Got to the point where I'm like, you know what, maybe I don't need a mentor. And I was fine and I was comfortable and I accepted that, right? And I accepted that instance and I accepted that fact, and I was like, okay, it's fine. It's not going to happen. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to find the right answer. And then guess what? As soon as I accepted that, and as soon as I opened myself up and I realized that, the universe told me, the universe is like, you know what? Now's your time. Here you go. And the fucking right person fell into my lap, and somebody that's built this business that I have and scaled this thing beyond what I thought it would be. And it's all about finding those, because you don't give up. You know how many people I went to and I talked to who told me to go back to work for where I was at before, who told me to go back to the thing that I was doing before, told me to do all these things that I wasn't keen on doing, that it wasn't set, that it wasn't where my values lied, told me to do these things. And I'm like, no, you're not the right person for me. I know what it's going to feel like when you're the right person. You're not the right person for me. And then I continue to search, and they're like, all right, fine, go be by yourself. Better off alone, right? Give it a shot, kid. Good luck. And that's what they would say over and over and over again, to the point where, yes, I would get discouraged, but I continued to be persistent. And then all of a sudden, when the right person fell into my life, and I'm like, you are the person that I need to be talking to. You are the right person. I'm here to play. Let's do this. Let's get it done. I've been looking for you for a long time now. It's time to play the game. And all of a sudden, everything opens, right? You open that perfect door, the right one. And now, sure, the journey may not be hard. It may not be over. There's a lot of hard work that comes in on the backside of that. But it's exactly where you're supposed to be. And you found the right path. And you were persistent enough to stay and persist through all the downturns and all the rough things and all the hard stuff to get to where you're supposed to be and to get to that point, right? You did all the sacrifices you needed. You pushed aside all the things that were in your way. You removed all that resistance that was stopping you, and you finally found the right path, and you got back on that journey, and you know where you're going is exactly where you need to be. There's a statistic out there, and I don't know exactly what it is, so don't quote me on this one, but I'm pretty sure it's like 86% of small businesses fail. 86%. That means the other 14% are the only ones that are successful. It may even be smaller than that, but it's a very, very, very minuscule amount of people that actually start a business, see it through to success. I can tell you right now, when I was looking at Shark Tank and all these other people that are walking up and pitching their stuff, and they're telling the sharks, I've maxed out credit cards and I've depleted savings and I've double mortgaged the home and all this stuff. I'm sitting there when I'm watching these shows and I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Why would you do all that stuff? But I did that, right? It got to the point where I did that exact same thing, where I was putting everything I had into making something work and just figuring it out. And I was being persistent enough, and until all of a sudden, finally it broke and everything worked out exactly the way I needed to with my last dollar. Right, to the point where I had credit cards. I'd never been in credit card debt before in my entire life, right? I had never spent money that I did not have. I always had what I needed to, until the first time in my life I was upside down on 2 different cards. absolutely incredible, right? And I was really just I was saving enough and bringing in enough that I could pay for all the mortgages and utilities that I had out, right? I could cover my expenses, but other than that, I was upside down on everything for the first time in my life, right? I never had anything, and I was in that seat now. I was looking, I'm like, holy shit, now I'm exactly where those people were. I see that. I see where they go, right? They continue to go and continue to push. And what was happening to me is I was learning all these lessons. I was spending money with people, learning these lessons, and learning who wasn't right for me. I was learning all these things about who wasn't right until I persisted long enough, and I got to a point where I was at the lowest of low, the bottom of the bottom. I was completely depleted. I was in a place where I thought there was no way I was going to be successful. I may have to give up and stop doing this thing. But all of a sudden, something changed. I made the connections. I kept getting out there, and I came across somebody who reached out to me and was like, hey man, I see what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Let's work. Now, holy shit, really? What? Are you serious? And all of a sudden it did. And it started to take off. And that was the break, and the key to success was the persistency, because by me continuing to do stuff, although it wasn't bringing any money in, it was reaching somebody, right? It was that stone cutter. I was striking that stone again and again and again and again, hitting that stone with no change, with nothing changing. But something was going on in the background that I didn't quite understand, and it was changing my world before I even knew what was happening. And before you know it, that happened, and it changed everything. At that point, when I all of a sudden found that person came in and they're like, hey, I see what you're doing. I want to work with you. I was like, damn, this is incredible. And it started to work. And then that started to work. And then once that business started to take off, my media agency started to take off, the podcast started to skyrocket. And while this podcast started to skyrocket, my YouTube channel started to take off. I mean, like all of these things, right? The persistency was strong enough that everything in my world got a blast of energy and just started to skyrocket. The positivity hit everything. And I was making more money than I knew what to do with. Right? It was insane. Everything started to come together. And what I want to bring to you guys today is I want you to take away, if you take away anything from this episode today, while it may be a short one, take away something big. And the big thing is that I want you to learn is persistency matters, and keep fucking going. You'll never give up on yourself. Your lessons are going to work. Remember the stone cutter. He tried, and continued to be persistent because he knew if he didn't give up, something would work. And he did it longer than other people, and all of a sudden he saw results and things happened. If you guys need somebody with positivity in their life and somebody that can coach you and keep you going and keep you on that mental track and keep you moving forward towards your goals and dreams, call me, message me, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'm more than happy to be that person that you guys can hit up, reach out to, and I'll keep you on your track, because there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of hard times in front of you. But if you keep going and you find somebody that's got you that positive energy and keep you motivated and keep you moving forward and help you remove the resistance in your path to get you to where you need to be, I will be that person, and you are going to make it when you get to the end. We're going to raise the statistic from 14% being successful to 20%, to 25%, to 30%, right? We're going to create a market in a world where the wealth is stronger against the people that are younger, right? We're going to create this massive ability where everybody's confidence grows and becomes this massively powerful force to where we have so much positivity and so much creativity in the world that anything is possible, and you're going to achieve your dreams. I want to be there for you guys, and I want you guys to hear this message because I think it's absolutely paramount. So whoever is listening to this, whoever this strikes a chord with, whoever needs to hear this one's for you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys are still here and you're still listening to this, I want you guys to know you got to stay in the zone. Keep fucking going is the lesson I need you to pull from this episode. It is so powerful, and the reason I'm doing it is because I've seen the power of this. I've seen how strong it is. As soon as you understand that what you've been attracting this whole time is ultimately yours and you're going to get it, you've got to just keep going, and that's the hardest part, right? Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to make it work. You're going to hit what you've got to do. The stone cutter theory, you've got to listen to that, right? That is the most powerful thing. Write it on a note card, put it next to your bed, wake up every day, and don't forget the power of continuing. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'm here for you. You guys can do this.